This is Pete Moore on Halo Talks NYC. I have a fellow New Yorker, Erika coming in from Prospr at work, going to tell us how to better operate our businesses during COVID, post-COVID, and into the future. So Erika, welcome to Halo Talks.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. So you've got a salon and glam background. So why don't you give the listeners here just your personal background, and then how you stumbled upon some of the frustrations that you thought needed to be solved that you've efficiently done.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first business I started was a company called Glam & Go, or is a company called Glam & Go. And it became a 14-store salon chain in New York, Miami, LA, and DC. And it was taking everything that I'd experienced in green room backstage styling, like 15 minutes to be camera ready, and really trying to bring that to women, because that's actually what we needed. Such an easy concept said, really, really hard to execute and really hard to get done. The people management challenges that we were experiencing, every day was just fresh hell.
Right.
Right? Like, it was like, who is going to ruin my day today? And it's not even noon.
Sure. We got an on-demand business that then you're catering to people's own timetables and meeting supply demand just in like a more empirical way. Sounds like it's not that easy to coordinate.
Well, I really thought that I didn't have an MBA and I have a communications degree, and what did I get myself into? I must just be a bad people manager. And it wasn't until I started meeting other operators and owners across different industry verticals that it was no, I don't suck at managing people. People are really hard to manage.
Right. Sure.
And then you take the subset a step back and you look at specifically the shift-based and hourly workforce, which is my employee base, or was my employee base, and is who Prospr primarily focuses on. And you started to really see trends and unique needs of this workforce that I think most people would often overlook. Right? My team did not need help with technical skill. There was nothing that I could possibly teach them, train them, show them about hair that they couldn't run circles around me. When it came to professional communication, time management, accountability, expectations management, knowing and staying informed and engaged when you're a spread thin person with a lot going on both in and out of work. Mm-hmm. Became really clear that if we want to make this business work, if we want to make the hourly shift-based employee more successful, the things that we actually need to provide them with are tools to round out some of the skills that they may not inherently have.
Got it. So you're basically trying to manage some very astute artists and put them into a business management platform, which is kind of counterintuitive to kind of being an artist, which is, I have to have creativity and independence in order for me to succeed at what I'm actually doing. So what'd you come up with?
So what we came up with is Prospr, or a very primary version of Prospr, which has now grown into something that attacks multiple industries. What we came up with was okay, great. You're an artist. You have all of these needs that you have as an artist, but it really is not even just for hairstylists. This is for the person at your coffee shop, the barista at the convention center, the person cleaning the airplane. Hourly shift-based workforce in America, they have a lot going on. Right. And so there are going to be things that are going to naturally fall through the cracks that we can provide support for technologically that can say, okay, you have these needs over here. You also need to be able to function within this organization over here. If you want to be a successful long-term employee, have opportunities for advancement, continue to get paid, plus. And so what we're going to do is ease the disconnect between the two. So yes, you have needs. Here's what the business needs are. And we can serve you both on one platform that is built for you so that you can master it. Everything's mobile for both managers and employees. And we can really build accountability and communication and trust in organizations through a mobile app.
So did you find that some of the companies that we work with or some of the entrepreneurs we work with, you could send an email and you might not get an email back for a day or two, but, a text message they'll respond to, real time. So did you kind of design this to basically say, look, here's like the technologies and the modes of communication that are your preference, and I'm going to try and basically push those into the business process system, or how did you kind of go about figuring that out?
So we had to really meet the employee where they are, right? Like, you're not changing their behavior. Email is like sending a carrier pigeon. It's not effective. So we realized, okay, if that's the case, everything has to be mobile, everything has to be SMS enabled. So what we'll do, one of the biggest challenges we had was figuring out who was actually coming to work. So what Prospr does is we'll actually SMS text the workforce up to 2 hours before they're expected at work, with a reminder where they're working, when they're working, respond with a code so operators gain visibility. The employee gets a reminder, and we'll also show them when they need to leave where they are with directions to the location by car or in public transportation. Nice. When they get to work, we give them a customized checklist by their team type and location that they're working that day, to the small things that can fall through the cracks. You have an automatic accountability layer that's there without conflict or confrontation.
Got it. So did you use this on were you still at Glam and Go when you were developing this? Did you leave there and then start developing have you become a software entrepreneur, or are you still kind of toggling between, the two businesses?
I'm officially a full-fledged software entrepreneur, which is crazy considering I can barely send a text. So we started using small pieces of this puzzle at Glam and Go. So we built, my co-founder and I, Eric, he built us a call and response system for those mornings. Because I was waking up every day at 5:30 in the morning, texting people, and then basically just sitting there in sweats. So that was like the first small piece. And then we were having issues getting feedback from the field and managing facilities. And so he helped us with a little bit of a ticketing system. And so some of these small micro changes started in Glam and Go by way of Eric, who is our CTO and co-founder at Prospr. And that's kind of when we realized that there's a much bigger opportunity here. There are more industries to be served, like fitness, like health and wellness, large scale events, quick service, that can really utilize these tools to create a better functioning work environment.
Got it. So if I'm a health club or boutique fitness operator, or I run a salon or run a med spa, how do I deploy the software? Does it interact with MindBody and some of the other larger platforms out there, Spa Finder, the laundry list of groups that are using for their point of sale, or is it completely independent?
So right now, Prospr is a standalone. There's small ties between us and like a scheduler. A lot of our companies use both Prospr and either MindBody or Boulevard, or there's one that's more fitness focused that I'm blanking on. Zenoti?
Club Ready?
Maybe. So they manage between the two. And so the way to think about it is, if MindBody is everything from your business to your customer, Prospr is everything from your business to your employee.
Got it. And who's using this, and what are some of the highlights that you've or milestones that you've said, oh wow, this is working, and this is how I know it's working?
Yeah. So Heyday Skincare, I think, is a really great example of someone in our space that's really successful on the platform. They saw their managers save 60% of the time that they were previously spending scheduling and communicating. They saw their reliability go through the roof. They saw 81 scheduling interactions between switches and pickups when they gave their team flexibility within the first 30 days.
Wow. And is that also then allowing them to take that information from Prospr and using it for their compensation?
Yep.
Going directly to ADP, or how do you have it set that up? How do you have that set up?
So you can clock in and out with Prospr, or you can keep it where you are. That's an optional feature. If you do choose to do time and attendance with us, you would simply download, upload into your payroll provider.
So talk to us about the elephant in the room here, which is this COVID-19 and how that's affecting, the desire for people, to come to a physical establishment, for, how you can potentially help with whether it's contact tracing or, best in class safety protocols and things of that nature.
So Prospr has really been pretty integral in bringing people back to work and keeping both customers confident coming in, but really employees. We have a daily COVID health check that launches with every single shift. So up to 2 hours before a shift, an employee will actually receive their COVID symptom check. It's self-reported. Everything is stored, so you can pull it out to CSV for any compliance that you needed, because we're managing the schedules down to the minutia of what rooms people are in. You have automated and filterable contact tracing. And on that COVID health check in the morning, if somebody answers problematically, your management layer will automatically get an SMS text alerting them to the issue. So you can actually get in front of these exposure risks before they ever walk through your door, right? The idea that people are just taking temperature when people are standing in front of them, it's like, well, it's all sort of coming from inside the house.
Is anyone developed an app yet that you can use your iPhone as like a temperature reader, or is that technology not available yet?
I mean, I think it's definitely a yet. I have a feeling it will be if it isn't.
All right, let's come up with that maybe as part of the next iteration of your technology and software. So how do you look at the business right now, and you're calling efforts into groups that are operating at 30 to 50% capacity. Obviously there's a lot of stress on the target market here. Are you seeing a lot of groups saying like, okay, I finally have time to breathe and think about long term, this should actually be how I run my salon anyway? So as much as COVID is obviously a curse to society, we've got health club operators who are like, what, I don't know why I ever gave somebody a keychain, with a tag, and I actually physically took it from their hand into my hand. And, so there's probably uses of technology now that'll proliferate. They're actually a much better way for if you said like supply chain management or, process flow, it's actually going to be a lot better. Just like when I go to an airport and, scan a 3D, a barcode, like that should be done at the health club without ever touching anything. So you feel like maybe there's maybe a quantum leap in technology usage going forward?
I think 100% people are looking at technology to solve people management problems in a way that they hadn't in the past. And I think COVID really brought to light how important integrated communication strategies are, from your newest, most bottom of the line employee all the way to the top, vice versa. Because this was the first time we were really faced with actually having crucial, urgent, life-saving, real-time information that had to get from point A to point B in one fall swoop, with visibility and transparency and who's seen it. So we're seeing a lot of our businesses sort of have taken a step back and said like, oh, I actually have time to build best practices.
That's great. So how do you price the product? We deal with a lot of entrepreneurs, and they, kind of throw dollars per month up against the wall, and, it might not have any, there might not be as much thought to it as like, how much am I saving someone? What are they paying for other software? What is a psychological cap on what I'm willing to pay for anything, especially in, the spa and health club industry? I feel like regardless of what I'm saving you, I'm not going to be, you're not going to psychologically allow me to get, 50% of that savings. So how'd you think about it? And what do you think the price to value, looks like?
So our customers are definitely seeing the value at around $8 to $10 a user per month, and they're feeling like they're really getting their money's worth out of Prospr. That being said, coming out of COVID, we want to be really sensitive to businesses that have been shut down for 6 months, that are not sitting on cash flow. And so for now, businesses that are under 35 employees, we're doing a flat $129. Because for us, it's more about how do we get people back to work safely, confidently, and successfully. And as you start scaling, as you start moving back to regular capacities, we'll grow with you.
Gotcha. So what are some of the things you've learned as an entrepreneur, maybe, under the hood here for all of the entrepreneurs that are listening, patience, perseverance, what are some of the things that you've kind of taken away from this experience?
Tequila is better in the morning than wine.
That's funny. Those are for our Halo, instead of the CBD water or like the vitamin infused water, here's a tidbit from out of the blue. Thank you, Erika.
That's going on the calendar. That has to make the calendar.
Yeah, I know, right? That's funny. But how do you, you seem like you're type A, you should be an entrepreneur, you should be a founder of a company, and, you're very driven. Have you, and I ran a software company, so I feel like the software is never done. I feel like there's always another bell and whistle you can add to it. The salesperson says hey, we can get this account if we just do X, Y, Z, so how do you kind of calibrate for yourself of this is a nice to have, this is a need to have, this is what I got right now. Trust me, this is enough. So how would you articulate that to other entrepreneurs?
This is going to sound insane, but this is what my co-founder and I always go back to. So if somebody who's not Jewish wants to become a Jew, they have to go to the rabbi 3 times. And on the 3rd time is when they'll say okay, we can start the conversion process. So if we don't hear from 3 different customers, or at least the same customer multiple times that they really, really want this thing, we ignore it.
That's funny. That is so funny. So you're basically trying to slow play the conversion based on them knowing that you could solve the different pain points, but they got to get to a point where they're in so much pain that they're actually now a qualified, client or customer.
If there's something that's wrong with the way that we're doing something, right, then that's something that we need to fix. If it's, hey, I'll give you a good example. One of our customers schedules on the 5s. Our scheduler was on the 10 and the 15s, or the 10s, excuse me. And they said, can we schedule on the 5s? And now, especially that we're coming back from COVID, we're staggering everybody every 5 minutes so that nobody's coming along. The first time I said, listen, they'll start scheduling. They'll get used to it the other way. The 5 minutes is not making a huge deal. We're not going to integrate these 5s. A week or 2, my managers came to me and said, if only they could have the 5s. All right, we'll make October. And, we're launching reporting. We have all of these other pipelines, but we'll absolutely add this to the log. By the 3rd or 4th time, you have to go, okay, explain to me the workflow, show this to me.
Right.
And then once you see it, we now have the 5s. Right? We always try to make our customers happy. I think what's really hard, and I don't know if you experience this as a tech entrepreneur, people ask for a lot and then revert to core functionality.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And one of the things that we need to be really careful of as a young tech startup is not Frankenbuilding into very specific, not repeatable needs for one customer that someone would never do this the same way.
Right. Back in the day, we were running, it's called Fitness Insight, and we were running an ASP, which was basically, the predecessor to a SaaS, software as a service. So we were running an application service provider. And the idea was that everyone was using the same application. And then we got this creep of requests. And then, at some point a year later, I went to my CTO and he's like, bro, you don't understand. We're running 80 ASPs right now. We're not even running one anymore. Every one of these clients has turned into its own, fiefdom of, it's like I got 80 buildings, bro. That's kind of what he said to me. It always sticks in my mind of I got to launch this to everyone. And it's got to be on the platform. It's got to integrate, or I'm not true to my business model. And my business model is about, leveraging what I built for everyone, not being a custom web developer.
So what we kind of came to on that is we do a really good job in the beginning of really trying to understand someone's operational problems, pain points, and workflow, and then showing people how to utilize the tools that we have to achieve their goals versus the other way around. And like, there have been customers where like, or companies, we've said, hey, like, I don't know that we're the best choice for you, but there is something else, and take a look at that. And there's been people who have said like, hey, if you can't do this, we can't use it. And luckily both of them have come back. Right. But, I think you have to build a best-in-class product, listen to your customers, make them happy, but make sure that you're not getting so consultative within one person's individual business that like you're veering off course.
Gotcha. So in closing here, you've given us a couple of great quotes already, but are there any, management quotes or things that you wake up and like, oh, that's an Erika-ism?
Erika-isms. I think it's really, when you choose entrepreneurship or business or being an owner of a business, you're really saying that like you're betting on yourself and keeping in mind that that is a really hard thing to do, and to allow yourself to like, it's okay to have a shit day. It's okay to say everything I'm touching is going sideways. I'm done. I'm going to lunch and a movie.
That's a great point. Yeah. We got a win-loss calendar. Like, people think they're going to go 30-0 every month, and that's just not how the world works.
It's not how the world works,
Yeah.
And like, if you made hard choices, they're going to come with hard days. And so, stay strong, stay persevering, and focus on progress versus perfection.
Love it. Awesome. Well, prosper at work, prosper at life, prosper with your employees. Peace out. And love to get together with you all once we get through the next reopening of whatever I'm allowed to go to next. So good to see you, and keep pushing.
Bye, guys.
Awesome. Later. As we continue to build our Halo Talks email notification database, want to offer you a free $10 instant gift card from our friends at Promotion Vault. Also, to show you how easy it is to offer your members and prospects and clients the ability to get desired actions out of them and reward them in real time, go to halotalks.com, put your email address into the pop-up box, see how it works, get a free $10 gift card from us, and keep listening and making everybody great.